Good morning. Um, Thank you for tuning into this impromptu session. If you follow me on Twitter, you might notice that I put up a quote today. And the quote essentially spoke to the fact that so much of what we do is dogma. And one of the things that I've always found fascinating about neonatology and probably the rest of medicine is that to challenge dogma takes logarithmically more evidence to disprove something or change practice than it would otherwise. And so the topic for today, and I just wanted to use this as a platform to perhaps get some discussion going on all things neonatal, is a question that came up in the NICU in Winnipeg, which was, should we be using heparin in our half-normal saline to maintain patency of our arterial lines? This was an interesting question because it had been done since certainly I was a resident and a fellow, and something that I think has never really been challenged. And so when I went looking for evidence, I found this. The Cochrane Database of Systematic Reviews from 2014 had this wonderful analysis, systematic review, looking at heparin versus normal saline for patency of arterial lines, which again has been published since 2014. And I would draw your attention to the conclusion here that there were a total of 7 studies with 606 participants that met inclusion criteria, and the primary outcome of interest was whether the addition of heparin maintains arterial patency or not. And the author's conclusion was the available evidence is of poor quality because of risk of bias and does not provide sufficient information to support the effects of adding heparin, 1 to 2 international units per mil, to a maintenance solution of 0.9% normal saline and maintaining the patency and functionality of arterial catheters. So based on this, we had a meeting yesterday and our group decided that despite having done this for as long as anyone can remember, we decided to abandon the practice and we will now just be using half-normal saline to flush our peripheral arterial lines. So my question to you as the participants on this site is, what do you think of the dogma? What do you think are the dogmas of neonatology? What are the things that we hold as sacred that no one has ever thought to challenge? Practices that perhaps you were taught back when you were a fellow or a resident, practices that as a neonatologist, if you're, or even whether you're not a neonatologist, but if you're a nurse that's watching this or listening to this, is this something that you've always wondered about and you've wondered what the evidence to support the practice is? And so with this post, I was hoping that we could, if people watch it, get some ideas going. What are things that you think are in need of being challenged in the NICU? And what is the evidence behind the practices that we already do? And maybe there's other evidence out there that would refute that. So with that, I hope that to get some discussion going, and thank you for tuning into this.